Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
With us this morning, Bruce Blakeman. Well, a lot of people are pushing for him for governor of the state of New York. And Bruce Blakeman, you have the safest county in the country. Out of 2,500 counties out there in the country, Nassau County is the safest county. Do you want to make New York State the safest county, the safest state in the country?
Absolutely, John. I hired 600 new law enforcement professionals just in my first 4 years in office. And just in the last 6 months, I have hired 280 new law enforcement professionals. We are hiring more cops, more corrections officers, deputy sheriffs. We are investing millions of dollars in our intelligence and training center, and we have the most state-of-the-art training village for our police department in the world. So I am investing. I am working with ICE to make sure that we get illegal migrants with criminal records out of our county, out of our state, out of the region, without raiding schools, without raiding daycare centers or hospitals or churches. We go after the illegal migrants who have committed crimes.
Well, that's what I originally said to President Trump in that dinner in Suffolk County, is let's go after the drug dealers. Let's go after the murderers. Let's go after the people hurting our children. And let's worry about the rowers and the bus boys and the Uber drivers later on. But let's worry about the murderers. Let's get them out. I mean, I don't understand how 80% of the people say, yes, you're right. Let's get the murderers out of here. And you tell us, how do you feel?
Well, listen, I agree. And in my county, that's exactly what we do. You know, one of the things I think we need, John, is a comprehensive immigration program where if you've been in the country for 7 or 8 years or more and you overstayed your visa, you're gainfully employed, and you haven't gotten in any trouble, there should be a path to legality. I'm not saying citizenship, but a path to legality. Let's get a guest worker program. Restaurants need workers. Farms need workers. Hotels need workers. You name it, there are businesses that need workers, and this would be a good way to fill their need, but at the same time be compassionate. So I'm not just a tough guy, John. I'm a thoughtful person who has compassion. And yes, I want all the criminals out. I want the criminals out in New York State. They don't belong here. But I'll tell you one thing I won't do, John. I won't give $8 billion of taxpayer money to illegal migrants because they got to earn what they get. They've got to be gainfully employed. They've got to make sure that they have values that comport with American values, because too many of the migrants that came in illegally from Mexico and other places, they don't have American values. Those we should get out. If they don't love America, if they're not happy to be here like probably your parents or grandparents did, I know my grandparents, they loved America. So that's another thing. We've got to make sure that the people who are here actually share our values and love America.
I agree, Bruce. I agree with you 100%. And one more thing, you know, I was vice chairman of Ellis Island, and Bill Fugazi was chairman. Lee Iacocca was honorary chairman, and we brought in a zillion immigrants. But the immigrants we're bringing in had no diseases. We made sure they were all checked at the border, not to hurt our kids, not the way it's been happening under the Biden administration. They came in to work 80 hours a week. When my father came in, guess what? If he didn't pay the rent, then his brothers had to pay the rent. I mean, there's a difference between immigrants, the traditional immigrants America got, and the migrants that Joe Biden brought in. They emptied out the jails in Venezuela, the hospitals in Venezuela. And guess where they sent them? They sent them to New York. And guess what? We paid them. We gave them free telephones, free rooms, free hotel rooms. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, Bruce.
$8 billion of our money given to illegal migrants. All they have to do is show up to New York State and sign up. And that's why we've become a magnet for illegal migrants all over the country. And that's why when Kathy Hochul says she doesn't have money for union workers, she doesn't have money for infrastructure, she doesn't have money for our hospitals, she doesn't have money for our schools, then stop spending it on illegal migrants who haven't earned a thing and start spending it on New Yorkers.
We want people to want to be here. Dominic Carter, you have a question for Bruce.
Yes, I do. County Executive, good morning on this Memorial Day. I got to tell you,
Dominic.
Some of us have institutional history to remember the last time a Republican was elected governor of New York State. Some of us can remember Pataki well. Some of us can remember ABC, anybody but Cuomo. And so I've been watching you very closely, and you don't know it, for the last several months. And County Executive, you got the look, you got the sound, you got the charisma, you connect with many communities outside of what is your traditional base, and you've got the record. So I see a path to victory for you. I really do see you as the next governor. You tell me how you pull this thing off. So you deliver upstate, traditionally vote Republican, and what does it take? Is it a lowering of the vote in New York City? How do you win this thing? Because I'm telling you, you've got an excellent shot at being the next governor of New York State, just like Pataki came out of nowhere and won.
Well, we're going to build a coalition of voters that traditionally don't vote Republican. We're talking about middle-class African Americans who own a single-family or two-family home in Brooklyn or Queens or the Bronx. We're talking about Hispanic Americans that are entrepreneurs, Asian Americans that want better schools for their kids. I go into those neighborhoods in my own county, and I get record numbers as a Republican. You know, Dominic, I won re-election in a county with 110,000 more Democrats in a landslide because I got a majority of Hispanic and American voters. I got independent women. I got African Americans to vote for me in numbers that they never voted for a Republican before. Typical Republican in my county gets 9%, only 9% of the African American vote. I got 32% of the African American vote because they trust me, they know me. Take a look at the Asian American community. What do they care about? They're also entrepreneurs, small business people. They are people who just want to be left alone, lower taxes, lower utility rates, and they want better schools for their kids. So we're building a coalition. I hope the turnout is big in New York City because I think people are miserable under Kathy Hochul. They now know that Zoran Mandami is a complete phony, that he hasn't been able to deliver on anything, and they're disgruntled. And I feel very confident that we're going to get record numbers in New York City, that we're going to get big numbers in Westchester, of course, Long Island, and then the Hudson Valley and all of upstate New York. I feel very confident. I believe on January 1st, very strongly, that I will be the governor of this state.
Bruce Blakeman, this is Jake Novak, your constituent in Merrick, Long Island. Thank you for all you're doing there. Also, went to high school with your wife, Sigal, so tell her I said hi.
Will do. Bruce,
it's another issue, of course, and this is a big issue in Nassau County, and it's a big issue in this area, and you just mentioned Mayor Mamdani. Obviously, the rise in anti-Semitism. And, you know, my theory as a student of this my entire life, unfortunately, has been anti-Semitism actually doesn't have anything to do with the Jews. They're the target of it, but it's got nothing to do with what Jews do or don't do. It's actually a law and order issue. And when you have a governor who continues with these ridiculous no cash bail laws, when you have a mayor who's in favor of that and also emptying the jails, the first thing that people like me say, this will lead to anti-Semitism soon enough. Because if you have someone who doesn't respect the law, we've already talked about that in regards to ICE. But if you have someone who doesn't respect the law when it comes to things like bail, when it comes to things like, there was a video going around on social media this weekend, someone with the bag going into a Home Depot in the 5 boroughs and cleaning out the Home Depot, putting it in their bag, and then going to a bakery, because none of those business owners can really do anything about shoplifting anymore. This is really a law and order issue that goes beyond ICE. Talk about some of the things that you're going to push back on Kathy Hochul when it comes to just regular law and order, over and above the illegal immigration issue.
Well, Jake, it's not only just law and order, and you're absolutely right, because law and order creates the atmosphere for anti-Semitism. Law and order creates the atmosphere on attacking small businesses and taking what you want from their stores without consequences. That's all true. But I think there's a bigger game at play here, and that's what worries me the most, is you have a rise in people who are denigrating those who make jobs, those who are successful, trying to bring them down, using the Jews as a scapegoat, and then as a precursor to taking people's property rights away. First, you tax them so high that they can't afford to keep their businesses, and then government takes their businesses, and then government is running everything. They're using this lawlessness to create an atmosphere of fear, and you have a mayor in the city of New York who doesn't believe in property rights and is a virulent anti-Semite, and we need a governor that's going to keep him in check, because not only is that anti-Semitism, that is anti-American. First it'll be the Jews, then it'll be the Christians, then it'll be somebody else. We've got to make sure we stop it now.
Another issue that we're seeing throughout the state is, you mentioned, is the tax situation. And we talked about the $8 billion and the bailout that Kathy Hochul provided to New York City. County Executive Blakeman, I think you have one of the greatest messages possible ever in the history of any downstate candidate. You can go to Buffalo and Oneonta and Rochester and all those places and say, I'm the guy who's going to protect the rest of the state from Zohran Mamdani. This is not just a 5-borough issue. He's taking away your tax money also. You have a great message there.
Well, that was a real eye-opener for people upstate, because when I went upstate originally, a lot of people didn't feel the effect of Zohran Mamdani as mayor. They certainly didn't like him, but they didn't think it affected them. And then when last month Kathy Hochul gave $1.5 billion to New York City without any strings attached, that started to open up their eyes. And then they were shocked when she gave them another $4 billion in this budget. So that's $5.5 billion in just 2 months. No strings attached, no control board. And let me tell you something. New York doesn't have a revenue problem. They've got a spending problem. They spend on programs that don't produce results, that don't benefit anybody. Somebody's making money, probably the contributors to Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani, and it's not benefiting the people. It's costly, and people are getting taxed out of their homes, and that's got to stop. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm running for governor, as well as cutting utility costs. Our utility costs in New York State are 70% higher, 70% higher than the rest of the country. That is a disgrace. As governor, I can stop it. I can cut the utility bills in half by getting rid of the green energy scam, excessive fees and taxes on your utility bill.
As governor, if necessary, would you think twice about removing Mamdani from office?
Well, Dominic, that's a question that I'm asked virtually every day. And here's my response. It is very drastic to remove a duly elected office holder after they've won an election, and it would be the last resort that I would do. He would have to do something that was really unlawful and deleterious to the health and well-being of the people of the city of New York. There's incremental discipline that I could give to Zohran Mamdani to get him to behave. And I'm willing to do that, whether it be purse strings, whether it be taking over various aspects of city government by the state. Those are things that I would be willing to do if he doesn't modify his behavior. But right now, he's hurting himself more than anything else. because he's hurting New Yorkers. They've lost confidence in him. They now see him as a phony. He hasn't been able to keep his promise. Think about this, Dominic. Here's a guy who ran on free bus rides, okay? And a week after the election, they raised the bus fares. I mean, that if that isn't hypocritical, I don't know what is.
Well, County Executive Bruce Blakeman, the Republican nominee to run against Kathy Hochul in the governor's race this year in New York State, a race that the entire country is watching to see if maybe we can get some sanity in one of our most important states in the United States. Bruce, good luck to you. We'll speak to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a meaningful Memorial Day. And remember,
and keep fighting for New York, Bruce. Thank you so much.
All right, when we come back, we're going to have Dr. Mark Siegel, a lot of health issues to talk to him about.
And then after that, I think we got Suzanne Miller and Bruce Mosley coming on.
A lot of big names. Stay with us.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?